Max Mara Spring 2026 Runway highlights effortless tailored summer looks. Introduction. Welcome to Alara Fashion Style, where I love breaking down runway moments into something inspiring and wearable. Today, I'm exploring Max Mara Spring 2026, a collection that feels effortlessly tailored yet deeply modern. I think this show quietly proves that simplicity can be far more powerful than excess. What I find interesting is how these looks feel both relaxed and incredibly polished at the same time. Have you ever noticed how the most understated outfits often look the most expensive? The essence of effortless tailoring. I think Max Mara has mastered the art of tailoring without stiffness. In my experience, tailoring can sometimes feel restrictive, but here it feels fluid and natural. What I find interesting is how the structure enhances movement rather than limiting it. Unlike traditional suiting, this approach feels almost weightless. Could this be the future of modern tailoring? First impressions from the runway. When I first saw the runway, I immediately noticed the calm confidence in every look. I think the collection doesn't try too hard, which is exactly why it stands out. What I find interesting is how the pacing and styling create a sense of ease. In my experience, that kind of restraint is incredibly intentional. Did the simplicity capture your attention as much as bold designs usually do? Neutral tones done right. I think the neutral palette is one of the strongest elements of this collection. In my experience, neutrals can feel dull if not executed well, but Max Mara makes them feel luxurious. What I find interesting is how shades like camel, ivory, and sand create depth without needing color. Unlike vibrant collections, this one feels soothing and timeless. Do you gravitate toward neutrals? Or do you prefer more color in summer? The power of clean lines. I think clean lines are what give these outfits their quiet authority. In my experience, sharp yet simple silhouettes always feel more refined. What I find interesting is how nothing feels over-designed or excessive. Unlike heavily detailed garments, these rely on precision. Isn't it fascinating how less detail can actually mean more impact? Relaxed silhouettes with structure. What I find interesting is how Max Mara balances relaxed fits with tailored structure. I think this combination creates a sense of ease without looking sloppy. In my experience, achieving that balance is incredibly difficult. Unlike oversized trends that can feel careless, these look intentional. Would you feel confident wearing relaxed tailoring like this? Summer layers that make sense. I think layering for summer can be tricky, but this collection makes it feel effortless. In my experience, lightweight layers add dimension without overheating. What I find interesting is how each piece complements the next without feeling heavy. Unlike winter layering, this feels breathable and practical. Do you usually avoid layering in summer? Or do you enjoy experimenting with it? Fabric choices that elevate everything. I think the fabric selection plays a huge role in the success of this collection. In my experience, high-quality materials instantly elevate even the simplest designs. What I find interesting is how linen, cotton, and silk blends create both comfort and elegance. Unlike synthetic heavy pieces, these feel luxurious and natural. Can you tell the difference when a fabric truly enhances an outfit? Day to night effortlessness. I think these looks transition beautifully from day to evening. In my experience, versatility is one of the most valuable qualities in a wardrobe. What I find interesting is how small styling changes can completely transform a look. Unlike overly specific outfits, these adapt bisuhula. Wouldn't it be ideal to have pieces that work all day long? Accessories that refine, not distract. I think the accessories in this collection are perfectly restrained. In my experience, subtle accessories often create a more sophisticated look. What I find interesting is how they enhance without overpowering. Unlike bold statement pieces, these feel intentional and refined. Do you prefer accessories that stand out or quietly complete your outfit? The influence of heritage craftsmanship. I think Max Mara's heritage is evident in every detail. In my experience, brands with strong craftsmanship always feel more authentic. What I find interesting is how tradition is blended with modern design. Unlike trend-driven fashion, this feels grounded and enduring. How important is craftsmanship to you when choosing what to wear? Subtle details that matter. What I find interesting is how small details make a big difference in this collection. I think things like stitching, seams, and proportions are what truly elevate these looks. In my experience, these elements often go unnoticed but define quality. Unlike flashy embellishments, these details are quiet yet powerful. Do you pay attention to these subtle elements when shopping? Comfort as the new luxury. I think comfort is no longer optional in modern fashion. In my experience, feeling comfortable instantly boosts confidence. What I find interesting is how Max Mara integrates comfort without sacrificing elegance. Unlike restrictive tailoring, this feels liberating. Could comfort be the ultimate luxury today? Comparing to bold summer trends. Unlike many spring-summer collections filled with yarkia colors and dramatic silhouettes, Max Mara takes a quieter route. I think this contrast makes it stand out even more. In my experience, understated fashion often has more longevity. What I find interesting is how this subtlety feels refreshing. Do you think quiet fashion has more staying power than bold trends? A modern take on power dressing. I think this collection redefines power dressing for today. In my experience, power used to mean sharp and rigid, but now it feels softer. What I find interesting is how confidence is expressed through ease rather than dominance. Unlike traditional power suits, these feel approachable. Doesn't this version of power feel more realistic? styling these looks in real life. I think translating these runway looks into everyday outfits is surprisingly easy. In my experience, focusing on tailoring and neutral tones makes a big difference. What I find interesting is how adaptable these pieces are. Unlike complex trends, these are practical. Would you try incorporating tailored neutrals into your wardrobe? Who this collection is for. I think this collection speaks to those who value timeless elegance. In my experience, not everyone wants to follow fast-changing trends. What I find interesting is how versatile these looks are across ages and lifestyles. Unlike niche styles, this feels inclusive. Do you see your personal style reflected here? Emotional impact of simplicity. What I find interesting is how simplicity can evoke such a strong emotional response. I think these looks create a sense of calm and confidence. In my experience, fashion that feels effortless often becomes the most meaningful. Unlike overcomplicated designs, these feel authentic. Have you ever felt more confident in a simple outfit than a bold one? My personal take on Max Mars's 2026. I think this collection is a masterclass in understated elegance. In my experience, it proves that fashion doesn't need to be loud to be impactful. What I find interesting is how cohesive and intentional everything feels. Unlike trend-heavy collections, this feels timeless. Would I wear these looks? Without hesitation, especially for everyday sophistication. Conclusion. As I reflect on Max Mara Spring 2026, I think it represents a shift toward thoughtful, refined dressing. In my experience, these are the kinds of styles that truly last beyond one season. What I find interesting is how effortless tailoring might define the future of fashion. So tell me, do you prefer this quiet elegance or bold statement pieces? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to Alara Fashion Style for more timeless fashion inspiration.